We'll start by 201, so we have quite a bit of material to go through and quite a few slides to go through. And Gabriel's really going to be giving an overview of the Ellipse software, which is a product from InfoVista with respect to microwave network backhaul planning and optimization. And the tool has numerous modules and use cases. So Gabriel will be going through and he'll be discussing and showing how the software does work. If you have questions at any point during the demo, you have the opportunity through the chat window, and also there's a questions window, and I'll be monitoring any questions, and at an appropriate time I'll be sharing those with Gabriel so he can address them. As well, if there are questions that you have once the webinar is completed and you wish to contact us for follow-up, there is some contact information at the end of the presentation that Gabriel will share as well, so that certainly is available as well. I think that's about it. Gabriel, maybe I'll introduce you right now. Have I missed anything before we jump into the presentation?
Thank you very much, Jeff. I think the only thing I would like to add is that this webinar is going to be recorded, and the recording will be available for you guys to watch and listen to in the future through the registration link. So you should get an email after the webinar has finished, maybe later on today or maybe early tomorrow, with the link to access the video.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, without further ado, then let's jump right into the presentation, Gabriel.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you everybody for being with us today. As Jeff said, we have quite a lot of agenda to go through, so we'll go rather quickly, but please feel free to ask questions at any time. So this is the agenda. We're going to give an introduction of Ellipse. Basically, what is Ellipse for those who don't know the tool, who typically uses Ellipse, why is using Ellipse a good thing, and how we package the product. We're going to end up with a single slide that will show you the different options that you have for packages. Then we're going to go into the longer section of the presentation, which is basically going through different features of Ellipse 8.x in general, and the current version that I'm going to be showing is the latest one available commercially is 8.6.0, but we will be touching on different features that have been available throughout the entire 8.x version. Then we're going to finalize briefly by touching on some of the modules that are extra to the Ellipse core license. We will not have time to go through them today, but we hope we will have other presentations in the near future to go through them, but we'd like to let you know in any case what they are about. Okay. So introduction, what is Ellipse? So Ellipse is actually a tool that's been around for many, many years, close to 20, maybe a little even more than 20 years. Initially developed by CTS, a company in France. This company at one time merged with Mentum, which many of you already have knowledge of. Mentum was the company that developed Planet for a long time. And then Mentum got acquired by InfoVista. Okay, so this is InfoVista, the company that is in charge of developing Ellipse today, and also Planet. It's a planning and optimization software for backhaul networks. It addresses point-to-multipoint and point-to-point wireless networks, so both of them. It also supports non-wireless links. So, for example, fiber links will be supported or are supported already in Ellipse, is what I meant to say. It offers superior interference analysis, allowing you to have a very aggressive frequency reuse, and that's thanks to the interference matrices that can be created in Ellipse. And also there's a module that allows you for automatic channel allocation or frequency planning, if you want to say it in a different way. It also hosts comprehensive data management in order to support carrier-grade implementation. So this tool is actually used by very large operators today. Who uses Ellipse? Companies that are using Ellipse today are typically mobile operators and any other operator that has a large microwave network or transport network, of course. Vendors, both of mobile systems and microwave links, and consulting firms who would also, of course, help these two above. They're the typical users of Ellipse. The departments in those companies that Ellipse is referenced to is usually the transmission or the transport network department. And the typical users would be your transmission, transport, microwave, backhaul engineers. Why is using Ellipse a good thing? Because it takes into account many things. You can see here your backhaul network is actually fed by different inputs, environment, climate, equipment capabilities, frequency reuse. You need to be able to handle these in a proper way, balance things so that the cost of your network is optimized, is minimized while meeting your capacity, quality, and availability requirements. So all these three things are actually analyzed by Ellipse. This is the product packaging that we offer today. So in terms of licensing, we do offer a standalone license. That means it's locked to a PC. Only that PC can operate the license. And if you want another PC to be able to open Ellipse in a different PC, then you need to get another standalone license. So it will be counted as two different licenses. There's another methodology which is called the floating license option, and the floating license is you have a centralized server where you're gonna have a pool of licenses, and these licenses can be used by any number of computers. There's no limitation on how many computers can install Ellipse. Those computers will be connected to the network where the license server is located, and then basically if there's only one license on the license pool, the first person who opens Ellipse is going to get that license assigned to him or her, and then as soon as they close their tool, then the license will be released back to the pool. This option also offers a commuting feature. Commuting means I'm going to borrow the license for X number of days. After that period is expired, then the license server automatically restores that that token or that license back to the pool. You can also return it before that period expires. So if you commuted it for 7 days, but you did your work in 4 days, you can actually connect back to the license server remotely and then put it back in the pool. It's actually basically like a token, like a dongle, but without the hassle of having a dongle running around. There are 4 different editions of Ellipse that start with the basic. The basic is actually quite basic. Most of the people who have basic is actually because they have or they want the planet component with it, which we're going to talk about later. Most people get either the professional or the enterprise. So these are the ones that you usually buy. You buy the core license that allows you to do most of the stuff, and then you can add other modules optionally. You can just add one by one, and there will be a cost for each module that you add. For example, the point-to-multipoint, the performance module, etc. The difference between the two is that the enterprise allows for multi-user collaboration. So we have a little executable or a little tool that works along with Ellipse that's called Data Manager, and Data Manager hosts a centralized database where your projects are going to reside, and those projects can be shared amongst multiple users. And we'll talk more about that later. And the final package is the Ultimate. With the Ultimate, you get everything, all the modules, the core module, everything, Data Manager, so you don't have to worry about extra cost every time you have to add a new module, okay? All right, let's go now into Ellipse directly. I'm going to be doing a little bit of slides, and also I'm going to do a live demo of the tool itself. So I'll be jumping back and forth between the two. So the first thing I want to show here is Ellipse is a very modern platform. It's actually a 64-bit application, and that it has a very intuitive user interface. It's very colorful, as you're going to be noticing when I show you the tool. You can actually see that from these snapshots as well. It has a ribbon menu, and it's developed on a Windows.NET platform that's future-proof. It uses industry standard formats, and it also has a very open interface that will allow you to do other things with it, as you'll notice. It has wizards to configure your project very quickly, very easily. So that's one of the benefits of having Ellipse. The ribbon menu is optional. Actually, if you want to have a traditional menu, you can have that as well. It's just a switch in the tool. But the ribbon menu is going to be very similar to the one that you're going to have with some of the Microsoft products like Office. So you're going to have a ribbon category, multiple ribbon categories in here. Inside each ribbon category, you will have ribbon groups, and then you will have buttons inside those ribbon groups. On top of that, you will get access to a quick access toolbar with some of the most used functions will be placed, and then you can just click on those directly without having to go through the categories. So let me show you directly in Ellipse. This is actually Ellipse 8.6. You can see here the different ribbon categories I was talking about. We've actually divided them into kind of like four basic ribbon groups, ribbon categories, I should say, and then 3 optionals for the different modules that you will have. So you have the home category, where most of the most useful tools or features are going to be available. Then you're going to have one for GIS, where you can zoom in, zoom out, export to Google Earth, things like that. Then there's going to be a microwave menu. Once you open a microwave link, you're going to see most of these buttons are going to become available. There's the PMP, or point to multi-point ribbon category. You will only have this one if you have the point to multi-point module enabled. The next one is going to be the transport category. This is also available only if you have the transport module available. Same thing with the performance category. The final 2 are going to be data. Data is going to allow you to connect to Data Manager, for example. So you'll see some of the options here for Data Manager, and it will also allow you to import and export the information that you have in your project to different sources or from different sources. The final one is View. So View allows you to do a couple of things with the display here on the screen. Okay. And here's the quick access toolbar. The way that we have the windows is typically we have a menu window on the left-hand side. You will notice some of the tabs at the bottom, right? So one of them is called the Project Explorer. That's where my main information is going to be. And then the other one that's most important is the map. So map is where all the layers that I'm displaying on the window are going to be placed, okay, or listed. Okay. In the Project Explorer, you'll see these nodes here. There's an option to find quick things. If you want to find something like a site or a microwave link, you can just type it in there. So under my network, I have a list of sites. In this case, I have a total of 67 sites. A site, if I open a site, I can just right-click and go to Site Properties, which is the same thing as double-clicking. That's going to open a new tab. Okay, so you're going to see the new tab in here, BTS 28. There's just basic information about that site. That site is going to have latitude, longitude. It's going to have one tower or multiple towers. So you can just customize this as you wish. There are some custom fields at the bottom that you can also rename if you want to. And these custom fields, one thing that's important about these is that you can actually add, instead of having a field that says XYZ, you can also add files. So you can just click there and then browse for any kind of file that you want and add it to your field. And they'll be stored in your project every time you want to see them. So you'll see the site configuration will show you what kind of devices are connected to the site, traffic information, transport information, right? Transport view, where you're going to see ports and things like that. Things that you can do here is you can actually get elevation from Google Maps if you want to. So I can just click here very quickly and say, do you want to update your site with the following elevation, 343.8? If I do want that, I'll just say yes. If not, if I want to keep the existing elevation, which may be coming from a more accurate source, then I'll just keep that. Okay, I can close this or I can keep it open. It doesn't matter. The next thing you're going to see in the list is going to be the microwave links. So microwave links are also listed here. You will probably notice as I select them on the left-hand side, they're actually going to be selected inside the map. So they're going to be highlighted in red. That allows me for me to right-click and do multiple things only with those that I selected. I can also do it from the map if I want to. And if you want to edit a link, you can do it as well from the microwave link list here, or you can do it from the map. I can just take any of these microwave links, select it, or double-click, and it's going to open a new tab similar to the one that we were looking at before. So I'm going to go into this in a second. If you want to create a new microwave link, for example, or a new site, you're going to see some buttons here very quickly. You can just click here on site creation, and every time I click on the screen, a new site is going to get created. You can see there, site 18, for example, or I can click another one here, and let's get site 19. And then if I want to create a microwave link between those sites, I use this option. As I hover my mouse on top of one of the sites, you will notice that I get a, I get a little red red color, right? That means it's going to take the information from that site. If I don't see anything red, that means it's going to create a site wherever I click. Okay, so if I take that site 18 and I try to link it anywhere, you'll see at the bottom a very quick line of sight. That line of sight will have multiple things in there. It can have multiple things. One of them is, of course, the terrain. You'll see in kind of like in a brownish color. Then on top of that, you will see clutter. Okay, which is optional. For clutter, you will define a height on each clutter class, and that clutter class will be taken into account for the line of sight and the Fresnel zone clearance. You can also add clutter height files if you want to, so that would be a rasterized version of your obstacles. Or if you have polygons for buildings or vegetation, you can also add it in there. Those polygons can be in map info format or shape format, ESRI format. So as I move my mouse, you'll see how the color is actually going to change depending on what kind of visibility I have. If everything's visible, including the Fresnel zone, I'm going to see green. If it's partially obstructed, I'm going to see something like yellow. See if I can get some yellow in here. You'll probably notice it somewhere in there. It's harder to get the yellow. There you go. And so that means my line of sight is clear, but my Fresnel zone is obstructed, partially obstructed. And then if I see red, that means my line of sight is completely obstructed. So I can just take a shot between these two, right? And then as soon as I click on the other end, if I have the option for templates, I will have the option to select which template I want to apply for that microwave link. If not, if I don't choose any template, it will automatically list the link in there, will create it and list it in my project explorer. So you'll see it here. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little blue color assigned to the link. That means the link has been added to the project, but it has not been committed to the database. I have not saved that microwave link in my project. And once I save it, if I click here, the save button, which is in the quick access toolbar, it automatically gets changed to black, okay? So that's some of the things that you can do. Okay, so let me go through some more things in here. So if I go into my one more thing I wanted to mention about the GIS or the window in here, that we have our own GIS software. Okay, it's built in, right? So you don't have the need for any extra tools or anything to handle everything that has to do with your geodata. Okay, it provides. Let me go back real quick to the presentation here. It provides also online access to free of charge digital mapping data, SRTM data. So if you don't have, let's say you have a new project coming up in a new country where you don't have any geodata, you can actually use Ellipse to download free SRTM meanwhile. Okay, of course, the resolution of some of this data is not the highest resolution, but at least it'll let you start. It could be something like 50 meters for terrain, maybe 200 meters for clutter. Okay, you also get the option to download OpenStreetMap vectors if you want that. We support multi-resolution. That means you can have data, terrain, or clutter for 5 meter, 100 meters, 30 meters in the same project. There's no limitation on how many resolutions you can handle. Ellipse will take charge of that and will make sure that you're using the highest resolution at every location if they happen to overlap. Okay, the type of formats that we support for grids, for example, is MapInfo grids. So very easy for any geodata provider to give you this. In terms of vectors, we support shaped and MapInfo formats, which are also very popular. And we also support image data, so you can bring in satellite pictures in JPEG format or PNG, GIF, etc. Okay. There's a very powerful and customizable layer display. Sorry, I got the wrong one in here. If you go into the map, which is where you can enable or disable the different things, you'll see that I can just disable my microwave links. I can disable other things that I don't want to see, and then automatically on the screen, I'm going to see those changes, right? Let's say if I don't want to see the DEM, now I'm going to go back to the clutter. I want to see the DEM again. But something you can do very, very flexible, the tool for this, is let's say you want your microwave links to be colored, and you want them to be colored by a very particular attribute. So you can always go here, double click on microwave links, and you can see there are options to change how you display the points, the lines, the text, etc. So say I want to go with lines, and I say I want my color to be modified based on the frequency, for example, or the band. So there should be here something that's called frequency plan. If I edit my scale, I can assign the different colors. So I have 13 gigahertz, 23 gigahertz, 26 gigahertz, and 38 gigahertz. Let me just make this a little thicker, size of 2, and as soon as I click OK, the map will refresh, and then you're going to see the different colors depending on the type of frequency band that I'm operating on. Okay, so that's something that's very, very easy to do. If you want to see the legend, you can just pull it from here. You go to the view, then legend, and then you'll see the different colors that you're displaying on the screen so that you know what's what. Right, so here's the legend for the microwave link lines. So everything's that flexible. For anything that has to do with the display is extremely flexible in this sense. You can actually save all these things, all these attributes and options to display into what we call themes. Okay, so you can see here there's an option for themes. There are some predefined themes that we've put in this demo project. So say if I want to go to my transport theme, I can just select that and quickly apply it, right? And then everything's going to change completely. Now it's only showing me my circuits or my side paths, okay, that are for only transport information. If I want to go to point to multi-point and I want to apply that quickly, then you're going to see only your point to multi-point stations in your terminals, which are here at the bottom. Okay, the reason why this is red is because it's selected in here, so you can just unselect quickly. So those themes are customizable 100%, and that helps to quickly go back and forth between different options. Okay.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Gabriel, it's Jeff here. So I have one question from the audience. So when you were showing access to the geodata, the question was, how extensive is the geodata that's available for free download?
Oh, as long as it's available on the SRTM sources that we have, it's worldwide. So you can ping. I've done small countries everywhere around the world, like Bangladesh, or you can go to Myanmar, or you can go to Fiji, or you can go as what you're going to see is this. Let me show you a little bit. So if you go to project settings and you go to your GIS data sources, there's an option here to obtain that free GIS data. Okay, so let's say I want to go for an elevation layer. So I click here where it says elevation layer, and then these are the 4 sources that we handle or that we search for in terms of terrain. So if I want to see SRTM1 information, in this case, unfortunately, is not available for France, so there's no SRTM1, but there is SRTM3 and different output steps, so 50 meter resolution, 100 meter, 200 meters. So it's a matter of saying, yes, I want it. Click here where it says generate. It's going to tell you how big it is and if you want to continue with the download, and it'll download it directly into your project. And it's as simple as that. Then you go into the profile sources and you make sure that this geodata that you just downloaded is part of the profile that you're gonna be using.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And that format is map info format, or is it, and could I therefore also use that data in Planet, for example, if I wanted to use it in Planet?
Yes, actually, I forgot to mention that. Maybe you saw it in there and I didn't explain. But there are different types of formats. So you can download into a single map info grid. So this would be, for terrain, would be a GRD file. For clutter would be a GRC. You can do tile map info grids, which will help a little bit if we're talking about a large country, let's say Australia, then of course you're gonna need to tile it to improve your zoom in, zoom out functions, or you can go with Ellipse grids. Ellipse grids, you will not be able to use these in Planet, for example, but it will be a lot faster because Ellipse grids are optimized for display purposes here.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, thank you. Okay, so going back, here are the themes we were talking about. The other thing you can bring into Ellipse is actually Bing, Google, or OpenStreetMap. So let me show you that. And I keep going to Planet. I want Ellipse. Okay, so if I go to View, you'll notice there are some options in here. One of them is New Web Browser. So if I click on New Web Browser, for example, okay, then it's going to open this new window. The one thing that Ellipse handles very well is actually different windows at the same time. So you can have as many windows as you want to. You right click here where it says web browser, you go to settings, and then you can switch between Bing, Google, or OpenStreetMap, and then you have the option of different styles. So for example, for Bing, I have the option of doing satellite and labels. So if I click there, and it's going to take a while to retrieve the information from the server, of course, and then I can zoom in, and then zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit closer. There you go. So now I have this option, right, which is the satellite picture inside Ellipse. One thing I haven't shown you yet is you can also put these two side by side. So now, right now I have my link and my map, right? And if I let me see, this is 26.4. Let me just close this to make it a little quicker. Okay, so if I have my link and my map, as soon as I browse my mouse or hover my mouse, I should say, over the link, it'll show me on the screen, and this will show up on the web browser as well at the same time if you want that. It'll show up in there to see which point you're actually on. So you'll see, okay, I have an obstacle here. That's on my map. I can actually see where that is. Or you can do the other way around. You can browse. You can hover your mouse on top of the link, and then you'll see in the link itself what this is. Okay, so that's another option you have. Another great thing to have in here, which I should have shown you when I had this this map, the satellite map, is that you can synchronize your views. So if whether you have satellite and no satellite or whatever, you see I have two maps in here, and I'm clicking on the synchronized GIS views. If I zoom in to one of the two, then the other one will just do exactly what I do, right? So if I pan, then the other one's just going to follow me wherever I go. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many of these you have, then you can just have them synchronized all the time. Okay, so that's Bing, Google, or OpenStreetMap. Okay, there's an option for address search. I'm not gonna have time to show you everything in the tool, so some of these things I'm just gonna show them on the slide, but there's an option for address search, so you can enter an address and say I want to go to Mexico City, or I want to go to I don't know 5601 Democracy Drive in Plano, Texas, and then that is just gonna take you there. Okay. You can update information. I already showed you that from different sources. This is the synchronized views. So you can actually have different things on both. Of course, that's the purpose of having the synchronized views. There's also a 3D viewer. So if I come in here, and I don't know why I keep going to Planet. Sorry, here it is. Let me just disable this one real quick, and let me try to find a good link that I can use for that. So let's say, and this is what, 38.6, which is somewhere in here, 38.6, yeah, all right, select that. Okay, and then I can actually open a 3D window. Okay, so if I open a 3D window, you're going to see in that 3D window, real quick, let me just clean it up a little bit so we don't have to see everything. Okay. Okay, so there's the 3D window. You can just use your right click or left click and your wheel to zoom in, zoom out, and move it around. If you want to see antennas, ellipsoids, and everything, you can just do it in there as well. This is probably just a very large group of sectors. Let me see. There's actually a better one in here. This is a small one. So I'm clicking on the wrong thing. There you go. So center on the map. There it is. And then I'm going to have this off path. Let me launch this again so you can see a better view of the Fresnel zone. So if I go to 3D window, there you go. So I can see that link is actually obstructed. There's a little obstruction in here on the Fresnel zone, right? You can actually click on the different buildings and get information on those if you actually see the information. And here on the left-hand side, buildings, and you can change the height and things like that. So that's the 3D window, which is an option for either a part of the network or the entire network if you want to. Okay, what else? Okay, I kind of showed you this already. So we have the link profile information where you're going to be able to see the clutter. You're going to be seeing path clearance, antenna height optimization on both sides. I'll show you that in a minute. So if we go back here, let's go into a different link. Let me edit this one again. So I can, yeah. Okay, so you can see this is the link editing option. I can take that and walk through the different tabs in here. So the first thing you're going to see is the display. So the display is going to show you clutter or buildings or whatever you have decided to have added to your profile. This is customizable, and I'll show you it's actually customizable per link if you want that. And you can play with the height of the antennas in here. So I can do this, and of course, as soon as there's no line of sight, and it's just going to become red like that, right? And then I can use, there's a little tool in here that allows you to optimize the site antenna on either side. So you can do site B or site A, or you can do both at the same time, right? There's an option here to minimize the delta on both sides at the same time. But let's say if I want to try on this side, let me see if it's going to be available. Yeah. So apparently it can raise the antenna on this side only to make that Fresnel zone clear. Okay, here's the information on what each side, each extremity has. So there's the antenna, the feeder, and the radio. So in terms of the antennas, we actually support the use of multiple antennas. So in this case, I'm adding diversity, space diversity. As you can see, we can go up to 8 antennas, and the purpose of this is to support MIMO, which we already support. We're actually in the first phase of MIMO support. We're planning to add more algorithms for MIMO calculations in the next versions, but that's something that you can do on both sides, and it'll check for clearance and results, signal strength, and everything on every single link. For one antenna to another antenna. The antenna database is actually saved in my project. I have a limited list in this particular project, but if I take you to the Project Explorer, let me minimize this a little bit, you'll see here where it says project data and then it says antennas. And those antennas, you can actually import them from different formats. You right click, you go to import, and there are different formats in here. Some of them you know very well. There's actually our competitors format in there as well. if you want to import it. You can double click on this antenna and get a picture of the 4 patterns in this case, so copolar and cross-polar, of course. You can click on the pattern to see it a little bit bigger. You can edit these files. Actually, this is completely editable. You can see the linear view if you prefer that view, or the circular view. You can toggle back and forth. If you don't want to see it anymore, you can just close it. Go back here. So you can select any antenna that you want. The tower would be, remember, each side can have multiple towers, so you can select which tower you want in there. The height of the antenna on that tower, so this is not necessarily the same as the tower height. Notice how the tower height remains the same regardless of the antenna height. If I try to place the antenna higher than the tower, for example, the tool is going to warn me about it. It's going to say, hey, you're going to place the antenna higher than what the actual tower is. Maybe this is a fake tower, but maybe it's a real tower and I can't really change that. So that will be very important to know. Azimuth and tilt, which can be directed towards the other end, or it can be locked as well, which is very important as well. Sometimes you don't have the ability to direct it across to the other side, but you have to change the azimuth a little bit. In terms of losses, you can add anything you want. You can add devices, you can add feeders. You'll see here devices and feeders. You can just configure those however you want, gains, losses, etc. And then the final thing is the radio. So we also have a list of radios loaded in the project. Again, those radios can be imported from other formats. Here's our competitor's format, which can be imported directly in here. You can also create manually your own, the same thing for antennas. It's actually very easy. I mean, it'd be very virtually impossible not to be able to put the information in here. Here's an example of the radio configuration. So you'll see some information on manufacturer, etc. There are some curves for T/I, IRF, right? We do support adaptive modulation schemes. So if you go to a radio that supports that type of configuration, you'll see it in here. Here are my configurations. This is my adaptive modulation scheme where it tells me which modulation I'm going to be using, what's the required RSL, and what's the data rate is going to provide me. So all that information will be in there. Okay, and you can just change your radio however you want. You can do standard, you can do branching system, so transmit and receive will be separate. Of course, you can have different radios for each extremity. More on the actual configuration of the link. Of course, in order to be able to calculate properly the results, the interference results, signal strength results, data rate results, we allow you to enter multiple things in here like power, right? So we support ATPC, so you can actually calculate what the optimal power should be in order to maintain or keep the minimum requirement on RSL on the other side. So that's allowed in there. We also allow you to select which channel, and this works a little bit different to probably what you're used to. You actually have to create a frequency plan beforehand and then select from that frequency plan which channel you want. So let's say I want channel 4 and then I want horizontal configuration, right? And then I can say here at the bottom, I can say if I want to transmit low or transmit high. Here's the option, high, low, okay? And so it's very simple. It avoids errors when you type in the frequencies, so there's no option for errors. The frequency plan is already set in there, and it also allows for other modules like the automatic channel assignment that I'm going to show you later on. Here are the results. So the results are going to show you a summary of signal strength, path losses, diffraction losses, everything will be in here. This is actually exportable to Excel or to PDF. You can generate these however you want. You can actually customize your Excel sheet so it exports exactly how you want it, and the information will be available right there. Information on the sites that you're using, settings that you can actually change. You may have some project settings at the global level, but you can actually, for one single link, you can actually put your own settings if you want to. So there's the option for user settings. Same thing for profiles. So it's using the default geodata that I selected at the global level, but I can add my own profile. So say if I want something different, let's say I want to add an obstacle manually, I can go in here, put the distance, say, okay, add, let's say 2 kilometers, I have a water tower that has 30 meters height and it expands for 100 meters and it's centered, right? So there it is, there's the water tower, okay? So it's as simple as that. I can just go back to the regular project geodata, okay? Okay, let me close this one. I'm going to show you the repeater function real quick, but let me walk through these slides to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. The equipment database that I already talked about, some of the formats that we support, multiple antennas, I already talked about that as well. Optimize antenna separation. So if you have diversity, you can also optimize the separation between the antennas. The tool allows you to display reflections as well. You can see reflections that are not obstructed as well as obstructed. The ones that are obstructed will come up with the gray color instead of a red color. In this case, it's red because they're not obstructed. Okay, adaptive modulation, which is what I showed you here. And here's some of the information on IP throughput versus availability. This is, of course, part of the transport module, but just to give you a hint on what you can do with it. Okay, this is the RTPC and ATPC option or feature where you can actually use a tool to calculate what the optimal output power should be so that you're minimizing interference onto other links. Equipment templates, you can create templates for your microwave link creations. So if you're going to create a new microwave link, I think I already kind of showed that a little bit, but you can have an option to let you select which template you want to apply. And you can apply filters so that only the templates that are part of those filters will show up as an option. For example, 13 gigahertz would be one example. Okay. Link analysis, so that we do support the latest ITU recommendations. There's a list of all the ITU recommendations that we can give you. There's something we're going to talk about, which is the off-path obstacle profile analysis. It's actually very nice. It's a very unique tool that we have in Ellipse. Diversity calculations, MIMO up to 8 antennas per side, rain, multipath, and refraction calculation, performance analysis, link power optimization, and passive repeaters. I'm going to show you that in a second as well. Here's the ITU recommendations and non-ITU as well in there for propagation models, multipath models. So you can see there's quite a variety of options for you to choose from. Off-path link profile analysis. So sometimes your link is actually not obstructed on the vertical plane. So you can see here, if I just look at the vertical plane, the typical profile, I'm going to see that there's no obstruction. However, for some reason, that is showing up as red. The reason why it's showing up as red is because I have a lateral obstruction. Okay, that's actually the same one I showed you on 3D. So you kind of noticed that probably. So what the tool allows you to do, let me go back to the tool and see where that link is. So if I use that example, this one might, okay, I'm just going to center that in here and if I double click on it, so I can open this, you see the same picture that I was showing you on the slide. If I go to here, there's a button that says off-path analysis. I can just click on it and it gives me a top view of the same link. So you can actually see how obstructed you are on the sides of the Fresnel zone, because the Fresnel zone is a volumetric thing, right? So it's not a sharp cut on the vertical plane, which is what many microwave tools may show you. Okay, so we do support that, and it'll actually update as you move your antenna in here. So depending on what kind of, it's gonna warn me in there, but depending on what kind of obstructions you're gonna get, you're gonna see red, yellow, or green. Okay, so that's another option in there, which is very nice. Passive repeaters. Okay, so let's take an example here for a passive repeater. Say I want to create a microwave link between two sites and there's no option for me to connect those two. Let's see if we can try to connect maybe this one here with this one. Okay, so these are obstructed. Okay, I'm going to click there. Let's click OK. That's microwave link 3. I just open it in here, and you see it's completely obstructed. So I go here to repeater option, and I say I want to search for a repeater. I click select on map, and then it allows me to search, right? You see here the different colors, and then as soon as I click on the screen, I get latitude and longitude, and I say add that repeater, and there are some predefined options in there, of course, height and everything, and then I can do back-to-back or flat reflectors if I prefer. Okay, so that's my repeater option. Reflection analysis, which is something I kind of showed you already. You can also get these curves if you're on a link that has reflections. So you can see the different K values marked here with flags. Here are the different values, and you can see what kind of fading you're gonna get. Tidal reflection analysis, so we can add tide range or tide height to the reflection analysis, so that accounts for it. Some nice tools that we have in here, one called line of sight analysis. Okay, if I go here and I go to my map, there are two nice tools that we can work with here. One of them is a line of sight tool that will let you calculate very quickly what kind of line of sight you may have within any group of sites. Okay, so let me just click here somewhere else so it doesn't. Yeah, there you go. And say I'm going to select all these sites that I have, right? It's like 80, I believe. And then I come here where it says analysis, and I want to create a line of sight. And I say, create me a line of sight analysis very quickly. Okay, you get this table, right, with clearance, 100% clearance, 0 clearance, 63% clearance. You're going to get a matrix on the screen with different colors, same color coding that we were using before, so yellow, green, or red, and then each side versus each side within certain radius that you can actually change if you want to. So if I click on 100%, you're going to see the actual profile that I will get between those two sites. And if you want to create a link, you can just click here. If you have something that's partially obstructed like this, then it's going to show up, of course, with that yellowish color. But if you still want to create a link, you can create it. You can export this to a CSV file and then use it in different ways. Those line of sight analyses always get saved, so you can display them at any time. There's no limitation on the number of analyses that you can run. Same thing you can do for actual analyses for links. Okay, so you can take many links into consideration and run analyses, and then you can save them in here. You can see the analysis for all the 13 gigahertz links. It's in there in one file. You can export it to PDF, so it will be in one single file. You can create those as many as you want, and you can create with as many links as you want. There's another thing here called the spider search. I'm going to skip the actual demo of it because we're kind of running out of time. But it will allow you to search for a hub location. So the different colors that you see here are representing how many sites, the ones you chose. Let's say you chose 4 sites. How many of those sites are visible? If one is visible, if none is visible, then you're going to see red. If maybe one is visible, then you're going to see a little bit orange. If all of them are visible, you're going to see dark green. So it's a shade from red to green depending on how many sites you included, and it'll let you click wherever you find the location. You'll click and it'll create the site right there. So that's a nice tool as well. Topology designer. Okay, so once you have something like the line of sight, you may want to know how you want to connect these sites now. And you say, okay, what if I want to connect this BTS1 and this BTS44? What's the best path? You see here BTS1 and BTS44. What's the best path to use? And you see you can use your line of sight analysis. Okay, so if I use that option, it'll tell me, hey, based on your line of sight analysis, this is the best path. Okay, based on distance and number of hops. There's a cost for both of them. But you can also use existing microwave links if you prefer, right? So if you already have existing microwave links, the tool is actually going to prefer those, of course, not to make you create a new link, because that's going to be extra cost. So you can use that, or you can use any kind of transmission link. If you have fiber, etc., and I don't think I have fiber for these sites. There's actually only one fiber link in this project. So, but you can use this, and if you want to create the missing links, you can actually there's a little tool in here. Create. if we do this one here, then create a links. So if you click there, it's going to create links for all the missing paths. Of course, if I have existing links, then there's nothing to create. I can do other types of analyses like capacity, etc., but that's not part of this webinar today. Okay, you can display high-low status as well. Okay. Interference analysis. So part of the options that we show here are the interference analyses. They can be run for any group of sectors. So let's say if you want to create a quick interference analysis, you just select your microwave links and say, okay, I want to use, by the way, there are groups that you can use for that. So say my 26 gigahertz, I select those and I go to analysis and then right click and say I want to create an analysis of interference between those links, and you'll see flags, right, colors like green, green or red, depending on whether you are being interfered or not. Then you'll see that on the screen as well. It'll tell you not only which ones you're going to have a problem with, but if you have certain certain problems, they're going to show up in here with the flags. You may have a clean channel, but maybe there's another one that's not clean. So you're going to see one for each channel and one for each interferer, okay, or victim, okay. So that's something that you'll be able to do in there. And you can also generate these as many times as you want with different options of analysis and keep them saved there. Yeah, you can export those results to Excel, CSV, XML, etc. You're going to see here that it's telling me that this is the extremity that's interfering with this one. Okay, so the victim is the yellow, the interferer is the red. There's an automatic channel allocation tool. So if we go back to the example, let's say I go with my 13 gigahertz and let me make sure there's nothing else selected. Okay, and then I go my 20 gigahertz and I select these. I can go to analysis, right click and say automatic channel allocation, right? As soon as I do that, it's going to run an interference matrix, okay? And that interference matrix is going to show me the different links and what kind of separation I need between the links in terms of channels, copolar, cross-polar, and which channels are available. Oh, I forgot to change the default frequency plan, but this will show up as 23 gigahertz. That's because the default frequency plan is a 13 gigahertz, and it will tell you which channels are okay to use for each link on the horizontal and the vertical. And then if you want to run assignments, you can run them from here and it will tell you, okay, what your assignments should be. Of course, there are some shortfalls in this case. Maybe my power is not optimized. Maybe my antennas are not aligned. There are multiple things that could be wrong in there. You can align your antennas automatically in Ellipse. There's a tool called Rooftop Visibility, and this one takes like 1 minute, 2 minutes to run, depending on the distance. So I'm not going to run it live, but basically you select a site or a group of sites, and then you're going to have in 1 minute or 2 minutes, depending on the resolution and everything, a report that will tell you for that site, for the top height on that site, of course the tower, which rooftops are visible and which ones are not. So maybe you're trying to target certain corporations to put a broadband service. You're going to put a Yagi on top, and then you're going to redistribute that inside the building. So you can use this analysis, and it'll tell you which site is visible with which roof. You're going to have to hear the name of the building. So if you want to have actual names, you can put that in the file that contains the building information. Very quickly, you're going to have that in there in that report. There's another option that will let you to calculate the distance to fiber. So what you will do, and that one I can do here very quickly. Let me make sure I clean this here. I don't want to see these analyses. Line of sight, hide results. There you go. Let me put my microwave links back in here. Okay, so if I want to do distance to fiber, I can add any kind of vector as a fiber vector. So here I have one called Optimax. Optimax is of course a fake name that I created in here. You can see that's the fiber. right? How it's run, and you can take a list of sites. Actually, maybe I didn't need to enable my microwave links. You can take a list of sites very quickly like this, right? And say, okay, I want to select those sites, and if you right-click, you're going to have distance to vector layer tool, 8 sites, and then you select which one you want to use, Optimax, what's the maximum distance, and then compute this, and it'll tell you what's the closest path to that vector, right? To that, so you know that within 300 meters, more or less, 338 meters, for that site, you actually have access to fiber. Right? So that's a very nice tool to have nowadays, especially for a small cell deployment. Reporting is all customizable. You can customize your reports however you want, PDF, Excel, say what you want to include in it. If you want a graph, if you don't want a graph, if you want tabular information, results on different criteria for BER, for example. So this is all customizable. You can create reports for multiple sites or multiple links at the same time. That's something I already showed you. Flags, groups, and queries. You can group your site's links in any kind of items in your project with these options. So flags would be like attributes. Let's say you have a flag that says status and says on air or off air, and then you can filter and use those flags or combine them to say, oh, I want to see only sites that are on my 13 gigahertz plan that are on air and that have an antenna height or a microwave link distance of less than 5 kilometers, maybe because you want to change the frequency, see if you can go with a higher frequency, cheaper equipment. Okay, so that's something you can do in there. Import export. Everything is exportable to Excel, so that's something I didn't show you, but you can actually take the entire project and export it here to Excel. You can modify it and import it back. Very, very easy. We also have another option that's called the tabular editor. If you want to do global changes, you can actually open tabular editor. For example, here I'm opening only for my 13 gigahertz. And I can go to my microwave links or whatever item I want to change, and I can change the radio. So say I want to change the radio and I want to make all these the same radios. You see now I copy paste very quickly. I can do the same thing for this one. So copy paste, right? And then I just click OK. And as soon as I click OK, that's going to get committed to my project. So very easy. We also export to Google Earth. You can actually see it actually creates like three videos, 2 that go around the site and 1 that goes line of sight from one location to another location. It's actually very nice. Import and export. So this talks a little bit more about the options for import and export. One thing to keep in mind here as well is that we have a command line tool. Command line tool will allow you to do import export and many other things that I'll show you in a second from a DOS prompt. So that's nice. You can create actually a script that can export everything automatically without you having to open Ellipse for anything. Okay. Planet. Okay, so if you do have Planet, with the basic option that we offer for package, you will actually have access to your microwave links. So say you already have your RAN project created in Planet, you can actually import from Ellipse very easily all your links, and then you can actually edit them in Planet. You can just double click on any link that you want, and it's going to open a similar GUI as the one that you have in Ellipse. You see it's just called microwave editor in here, same thing. So it's limited as far as the type of things that you can do with this little insert, but of course it will give you all the basics like results, analyses will be in here. You can change radios, you can import antennas, etc. So it's actually very nice. Much better than the profile, the point-to-point profile. That's the basic that comes with Planet for sure. Multi-user collaboration. I think this is my last slide. For at least for the main webinar. Data manager. So I mentioned this. This is provided by the enterprise package. The enterprise package allows you to have a centralized database that you can use to upload your changes so that multiple engineers can benefit from that information. Okay, and it supports both Oracle and SQL. Okay. Very quickly, other modules so that you're aware of them, and we may do some webinars, upcoming webinars with these. There's a transport module. Here's a snapshot of some of the things that you can see in there: ports connection, capacity analysis, end-to-end QoS, where you can see your overbooking, IP overbooking. You can have current traffic and forecasted traffic in there. Capacity analysis, part of the transport module as well, to see if you have valid path, if you have valid capacity. Point to multi-point, so there's a full module for point to multi-point. Of course, for non-line of sight, near line of sight planning in today's small cell networks is actually very, very useful. You can reflect off of a building and get your backhaul link from your small cell back to the main cell, to the donor. So all of that is available in Ellipse as well. Performance module, you can connect to your EMS and then bring in either traffic data or KPIs or both into Ellipse, so you can map, graph, or have a table that shows you the performance for links within a certain period of time. I see a time period in here, what kind of aggregation you want, or daily view if you want to see hourly. So you can see that very easily. Ellipse engine is basically an open option for you to use many of the functions that I showed you today from a prompt. Okay, so you can do all these things without the need of even opening Ellipse. This allows you for you to create macros, queries, so many applications that you may have with this that you can benefit from and use with other tools that you may have, etc. So that's what's called Ellipse engine, similar to what we have for Planet. Final one, how to contact InfoVista for an Ellipse trial. If you have, if you want to see us or talk to us about Ellipse and any other things that you saw today and are interested in having a more detailed presentation or having a trial of the tool for you to test, you can contact us on either one of these two. Yes, so that's it.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks very much, Gabriel. That was kind of like speed dating. I know there's a lot of information to get across in a very short period of time. I think you did a very effective job. There's a lot involved with the tool. It's a very robust tool, so by all means, please take us up on the offer if you would like to see more. I did have one final question, though, that was submitted from a user, and it was just with respect to Ellipse and Planet. So the licensing for Ellipse in Planet, it's the basic edition of Ellipse, which Gabriel showed earlier. But Gabriel, could you just show how you would launch that if you had the licensing for Ellipse within Planet, how you would launch it specifically? I think that was the question.
Okay, yeah, so the only thing you need is you need to install Ellipse in the same location as where you have Planet running, okay? And then as soon as you go to your view option here, your view category in Planet, there's an option for a microwave menu. It's always going to be there regardless of whether you have the functionality or not. If you don't have it, then of course everything's going to be blank. And then once you have it in there, there's an option for you to import links. Okay, and this option to import links is actually something that we call mlink. Okay, and mlinks can be created from Ellipse in bulk or one by one, however you want. You right click here and then there's an option to export to file, mlink. Okay, or you can actually, there's a drag and drop function as well. So you can just take, let's say like this, we can go into this fiber one and then drag and drop here, and then it automatically creates, where did it go? Here. Creates an mlink. So you can import everything, all the information in Planet that way. Okay, so you go here, links, antenna files, you can add them manually because these are path files, of course. Radios, you can just copy them from your Ellipse project into your radios. There's a microwave folder in your Planet project that will contain all this information. So you can copy paste or you can just import them through the GUI, whatever you prefer. I hope that answers.
Okay, so yes, so for the basic edition, you can run it as standalone Ellipse basic edition, or from within Planet you can access as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, well, it looks like 3:04, so we're just slightly over time, but thank you very much for everyone for participating in the webinar today. As Gabriel mentioned, please reach out to us if you would like to get more information. Gabriel did make the presentation available in a PDF format. I think it was listed as a handout, so it should be in your menu item. Can be downloaded, and then also if this session's being recorded, you should receive an email with information on how to access the recording. Okay, well, I'll leave it there, and thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Gabriel.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. Bye.